Happy Devils Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 42, titled Charting Hockey, because we've got a great guest tonight coming on a little bit later. His name is Sean Tierney, Director of Analytics of Charting Hockey, and I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks Editor-in-Chief, Nick Villano. Nick, this is a great podcast tonight, a Wednesday night in between games. All this is powered by Nova Product Design from Primetime Radio, streaming live on all of our Let's Go Devils podcast networks, social media accounts, Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live, Twitch. We're going to be talking numbers tonight. Nick, tell us a little bit about our guest that's about to come on in about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, Sean Tierney, he runs the website chartinghockey.ca. It's one of those lovely analytics sites that the old people like so much. I'm just kidding. But no, he does run that website. He contributes for TSN. He does analytics for hockey teams. He's kind of a guy who gets an inside look at teams, and he can tell you what players are doing well, what players aren't doing well. So tonight we're going to talk to him about kind of what went wrong and if we could have foreseen this happening, and kind of what we can take from the advanced stats to kind of look forward and see, hey, this didn't work this time. How can we use the numbers to make it work next time? And obviously, the rumors about what happened with our glorious leader, Raymond Shero, this is probably something that we really need to look into and really pay attention to.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to hear what he has to say. I mean, we were all excited, obviously, during the offseason. We were thinking that big numbers were going to happen, chemistry was going to build. But what went wrong? What went wrong with the New Jersey Devils? No, they're showing signs of improvement, progress, but back-to-back shutouts by Mackenzie Blackwood. But you see how many shots were on net? I mean, he was making 40-plus saves, and as much as I love Mackenzie Blackwood, that type of workload, you're going to have a short NHL career if that's what he has to face night in and night out, especially if some of these shots are dangerous shots, high-quality chances. But, I mean, he played out of his mind last night. Again, Mackenzie Blackwood sat. I understand why Nasruddin did that, but look, the kid's got confidence right now. He had that horrific jaw injury when he took a puck to the helmet, pretty much to the face. And it's good to see Mackenzie Blackwood, back on the attack.
Yeah, I don't understand there's a lot of hate I was seeing yesterday about people or about Nasruddin going with Louis Domingue over Mackenzie Blackwood off back-to-back shutouts. And guys, like, the season is what it is now. We're playing to kind of showcase some players before the deadline. We're playing to change the culture here, but we're not playing for the playoffs. So why are you going to ride Mackenzie Blackwood in the ground? He gave you his heart and soul for a couple games, and you kind of just have to give him some rest and let him rest those hips and those bones. I mean, we saw what we did with Corey Schneider for years, and playing him a ridiculous number of games in seasons we didn't even make the playoffs, that by the time we were ready to make the playoffs, he was done. So we don't want to make that same mistake. Now, yes, Blackwood's much younger than Schneider was back then, but that was Schneider's prime. So you would expect him to be able to handle those kinds of workloads. And I don't want Mackenzie Blackwood playing more than 60 games this year. It's not 60 games is plenty to stretch him out. And you'll see in the next couple of weeks some of our writers and my strategies going into the offseason. We'll definitely be getting more into that once the trade deadline's over. but every one of our strategies has to do with signing a big name backup goalie. So, those are the kind of guys that are going to play 35 games. So you don't need Mackenzie Blackwood to be a 70-game starter. Like, those days are over.
Yeah, and you don't want to burn the kid out. I mean, I think, coming back from that injury, I mean, I thought maybe he came back too soon, to be honest. But, but he was cleared to play, and, had a couple, rough starts before showing up to those two back-to-backs in Philly and against the LA Kings. But yeah, I'm just wondering, we talked to Rachel Dory about it as well a little bit, about analytics and, I mean, can you really predict some of this stuff, Nick? I mean, can you really, numbers are numbers. I mean, sometimes I see numbers, they look great numbers, but it doesn't tell the story. What the most important number is the win column. And, I don't know. I'm kind of curious, to see or listen to this interview and see, what our guest, Sean, has to say. And I'm wondering if he had some stats that, that could have predicted all this.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I'm going to ask him. If the analytics community was not as high on the Devils as we were, but it's not a perfect science. Obviously, the advanced statistics. A lot of the statistics people were in love with Bo Bennett, former Devil Bo Bennett, and thought it was crazy that we let him go. And clearly, that wasn't the correct thought process, because he's kind of just a tweener NHLer at best right now. Had to go overseas to kind of revitalize his career. So, there are always going to be examples on both sides, but just like analytics and the Moneyball in baseball, this has proven out more times than it has not. And it's proven out more often than the old adage of 5 tool players and, the eye test and things like that, because your eyes can very much deceive you when you're watching hockey, especially at the speed of the game. And, the eye test doesn't always, it accentuates things that you're going to see from certain players and things that you're not from other players. You're going to look towards those big plays, but you're going to miss the 7 or 8 shifts that nothing happened. So it's just certain things like that. It's more of a consistency. So, yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because I know you write, some things about sports betting. How does analytics and sports betting, do they go hand in hand a little bit, trying to predict, who's going to win the game, or that just has nothing to do with anything, or is there a science to that? Kind of like on Wall Street, predicting which stock is going to go up and how much you're going to make and all that. I was just kind of curious, because I know you do write articles about that. Do they go hand in hand?
Again, sports is there's hundreds of factors, one of which being complete and utter luck, and statistics have a hard time figuring that out. But what statistics can find out is, what the statistics I like the most are kind of like the high quality shot statistics and the danger zone statistics and the heat map statistics and kind of things like that, to see like positioning. Like, I could tell you how many shots the team had, but if every shot's coming from the blue line, like, you're probably not scoring. If you have 50 shots from the blue line, you're lucky if one goes in, but if you're having, if 11 of your 50 shots are coming from high danger areas, that's impressive. And that's when you start to score those goals. It's peppering a goalie with shots is one thing, but just kind of throwing them at the goalie and praying that's something that's not as effective. And those are the kinds of things that statistics and analytics are gonna tell you, is when a team is getting high quality chances, and when the kind of play that they're doing on a consistent basis is that of quality instead of that of just, I don't want to say desperation, but just kind of blasé, just kind of, we're playing hockey, we're throwing it out there, we're trying, but it's just not an effective form. You saw that rush by Jack Hughes yesterday with about 5 minutes left in the second, where he skates through two defenders and throws the puck on net. And, if that chance goes down the same as Miles Wood skating down the left of the ice and throwing one from behind the dot, they statistically in original statistics, they both get a shot and no goal, but in these advanced statistics, you get to kind of bear out to see what the difference is between those two plays.
Yeah. Well, I was also reading an article, again, different sport, about the New York Mets, and pitchers and catchers have arrived, and they were interviewing several of the pitchers and the new pitching coach. And one of the things that struck me was, it's not, I was thinking, normally when you read these articles, you're about the off-season conditioning, but they really put an emphasis on an appreciation on analytics and how this, new pitching coach who used to pitch for the Mets, I think it's Jeremy Hafner, or I forgot his name. He was really translating what these analytics mean and helping their game. So, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm really interested in this interview. So I should probably let you speak to the fans on Facebook Live and Twitter and Periscope while I get our next guest.
Sounds good. So I'm seeing, and I get this question a lot, but David Salvador saying, any trade speculations? It's been very, very quiet lately. For weeks we were hearing the Kyle Palmieris, the Miles Woods, the Sammy Vatanens, the Wayne Simmons. The only rumor I've seen in the last week was, the Vancouver Canucks calling on Wayne Simmons. And, I think that's kind of like a low level rumor. I think that's just, I think it's more people connecting the dots, or maybe they're just doing their due diligence and they're making a call on it. I don't know what Wayne Simmons is going to command on the open market. He didn't command a lot last year, but he's on the 1 year deal. It's not a lot of risk, and he's providing a lot of toughness. He's just not providing a lot of scoring. So I don't know about that. I'm kind of turning the corner on Sammy Vatanen, and you're going to see that soon. But I think the Devils have to move him, and I know this is not a popular decision, but the Devils have to get assets right now, and if they're going to be making moves this summer, they don't have the assets to do that. They don't have a second or a third round pick. They traded in the PK Subban and the Nikita Gusev trades. So what's good is at least those assets are going to be on the team next season. So that's good for us. So it wasn't just a lost cause. But, if I can get a high level prospect, a top 3 or 4 in their system prospect, and a second round pick for Sammy Vatanen, I'm doing it. If I'm getting a first round pick, I'd want it, and that's it. I'd at least want it to be like from a tweener team. That's, if they don't go very far in the playoffs, at least it'll be a 20, 21, 22 kind of pick. But giving giving Sammy Vatanen, like I'd like a trade if we traded him to like the Tampa Bay Lightning for that Vancouver Canucks pick. I think that would be a good move for us. The Lightning have two first round picks, so I think that they'd be willing to at least listen on that. And Sam Vatanen is the kind of guy that they resign. They got Shattenkirk coming off the books, I believe. They got a little bit of money coming off the books, but not a ton. But they could also trade Tyler Johnson in the offseason, and that'll save them $5 million. And then that'll be pretty much close to what the money that Sami Vatanen's going to ask for. He's probably going to ask for $6 million, but when you take in the taxes in Florida into account, he might accept 5.5. So that'll, I think things like that. Those are the speculations that I'm seeing out there. But I think those speculations are going to continue to grow. I think that we're still a week and a half away from the trade deadline. More trade pieces are going to come out on Pucks and Pitchforks in the next couple of weeks. Every day from now on, you're going to see a new team tied with a basically a fake trade that I'm so famous for. But I see Sam's back. Sam, do we have a guest?
Yes, we have a guest. We definitely have a guest. Would you like to do the honors?
Sure. So let's welcome Sean Tierney of chartinghockey.ca and many other publications, including The Athletic ×2. You work for an OHL team. Sean, you're just kind of all over the place. How you doing? Welcome to Let's Go Devils Pucks State of the Fan Address.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Like you said, I'm kind of spread all over in different levels of hockey too. So it's always nice when I get the chance to kind of hone in on one team and get specific.
Oh yeah, we are uber specific here at the Let's Go Devils podcast, and we did bring you on to talk Devils. We're excited to kind of see what kind of happened here. So let's just jump right into it. The analytics community was kind of excited for the Devils because we signed a really good analytics department, but it seemed like some of the moves they made weren't analytics driven in the offseason. Was there something that we could have seen before the season that maybe we knew the hype was a little overdone and this team wasn't as good as we were hoping?
I think there's sort of two prongs to that. One is Matt Kane was one of the hires that was made, and then Tyler Dello as well. And I think there was some buzz around the idea that the Devils were going to start paying attention to more analytics and try to make some smarter process decisions. And so that, I think, ultimately that's not the kind of decision or the kind of thing that's obvious within just a few months. I think in the long run, that still speaks positively, even though there's been some upper management changes with the team as the year has gone on as well. But I do think there were some warning signs that maybe the preseason or the summer predictions were a little bit high for the Devils. When I compiled standings projections from 8 sources, I got the average points projection to be about 89 points for the team, which, in the East has turned out to be not so close maybe to the playoffs. But coming into the season, it seemed like maybe that was, just a few wins away from maybe being a bubble team and maybe being a 9th and, things go well and all of a sudden you're 8th and in a playoff spot maybe. But that was relying on a lot of players coming in and either bucking the trend in terms of injuries or age. Players like, Wayne Simmons, somebody who has been impactful in the past, but is a player that's on the wrong side of, the age curve. PK Subban has been a player that sort of tried to battle through injuries and hasn't been himself. I think Gusev was somebody that was difficult to project, and people are very high on his ability, which I think has come and gone as the season's gone on. But the projections were very high, and he was coming from a league that isn't the NHL, and it's really hard to project. So I think in the long run, the analytics ads for the team, those are going to bear fruit. But I think that we probably did come into the summer a little bit too high on a team that was built around a few players that there were good reasons to have questions on.
So what's something that kind of stands out with this team? When I look at the numbers, I see some things that I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. And I see some things that are, I have noticed there's I'm not as smart as a lot of guys like you and Matt and Tyler. I know, Corsi 4 and Fenwick and high danger chance percentages and things that I can, I can put logic behind. But are there any other stats that jump out at you that you're kind of like, oh, it's like, well, that tells the story of this team?
Yeah, I think, I put out daily threads on some of the more important stats that there are at a team level. I do that every morning. And, the Devils have been right where you predict on quadrant graphs, which is, if you're in the top right, you're one of the good teams like a Tampa Bay Lightning. There's fun in the bottom right quadrant. That's usually Toronto Maple Leafs, Carolina Hurricanes. Top left is for dull teams. That's been St. Louis and Boston by most measures this year. And then we've had teams in the bottom left, which is usually teams that are struggling. And New Jersey's kind of been mired, regardless of the specific stat you pull up. That's where they've found themselves. And that's remained true, despite some roster changes, Hall moving out and coaching changes and everything. One thing that has sort of caught my eye that's changed, particularly since Hines was removed and the coaching change happened, was the Devils had been playing fairly slow or cautious. And I know just before I hopped on, you were talking about high danger chances. And the best way to talk about that is with expected goals, where, like you were saying, a team that takes a lot of point shots. So we know that's not as dangerous as a team that takes a lot of slot shots. And with expected goals, you take every single shot a team takes and allows, and you weight them all based on their danger level. And so expected goals is kind of nice because it captures that shot quality that the straight shot quantity measures miss. And when the coaching change happened for the Devils, they embraced this much more dangerous and high-paced, high-danger type of game. So the rate of quality chances that they've created has gone up. They were definitely below league average before, and now they're above. And so that's, in the long run, a positive sign that they're finding ways to create more quality for themselves, and that's interesting. The problem is, alongside with that increase in their own quality, is the quality that they allow against has totally spiked. They've been amongst the league's worst in terms of the quality that they allow against. Only Winnipeg, Ottawa, Chicago, Vancouver, those are the only teams that have allowed more over the past 2 months than they have. And it's just a really dangerous way to play. And when you don't have an absolute world beater in net or, just tremendous goal scoring success of your own, you just can't win hockey games that way in the long run. And so it's a little bit more fun to watch. And in a season that's kind of lost, at least, you get to watch games that have more chances going each way. But it's an interesting trend, and I'm just sort of curious to see where they take it from here.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, I mean, based on just looking at this team, I could see that the defense is a major problem. Is that what the statistics are saying? That, if this team's going to go anywhere ever, they got to fix the blue line?
Well, it could be that, but it's probably a team-wide issue rather than just the defensemen. So the expected goals they're allowing, that can be an issue of systems more than a specific position on the team. Right now, they're giving up high danger chances, so those sort of slot chances, in tight, rebound chances. They're giving up everything, and that speaks in general to a team-wide system that you're not doing the right things on defense, both defense and forwards, to kind of keep the puck from the dangerous areas. The sort of suggestion that we get with the uptick in their own quality and the uptick in the quality against is that they've probably just sort of blown the doors open in terms of system and said, we're going to go fast, we're going to get our chances, and if it exposes us, in our own zone in return, then so be it. We'll just sort of, lean on our goaltending, lean on Blackwood, and hope that we can sort of get some of our offensive guys going and contributing. So I wouldn't pin it ultimately just on the defenders themselves. To me, it sort of speaks of a system-wide change to just sort of go faster and maybe just, play a more entertaining, open style of hockey. And if you're going to lose and, have a roster that isn't ultimately going to the playoffs anyways, this is the right way to go out. You sort of go out in an entertaining fashion rather than rather than something more dull. So, yeah, I would look at the system and I would look at coaching, and maybe ultimately it speaks to the need to find a long-term solution behind the bench in the summer.
Yeah, so I mean, it's clear that this Devils team is going to be changing just about everything. New GM's coming. I guess they could possibly keep Tom Fitzgerald, but I think it's kind of a given that Elaine Nasruddin's not going to be the coach of the future. So that is definitely going to be a different philosophy. Is there some kind of system that you've seen that you think could work with a team like this? Strong down the middle at center, decent wings, but nobody we don't have the star anymore in Taylor Hall. And then a defense that leaves much to be desired, and then a goaltender that's still young. Is there systems out there that can make this work, or do the Devils just have to, wait? Do we have to wait again before we develop players into really, develop Jack Hughes, develop Nico Hischier, and then sign a couple big names?
Yeah, I think the unsexy and maybe unfortunate answer is, with a roster that doesn't have many solutions on the back end and a roster that doesn't run deep past the first couple of lines, any system you implement is going to just struggle because of the personnel that you have. Generally, when you have a roster that maybe lacks depth at all positions, which ultimately the Devils do at this point, the recommendation is generally to embrace a dull style and to, allow no quality against, if you can, play that sort of shell defensive system where you collapse to the net front, you allow shots from the outside if teams are willing to take them, you try to deny anything from the home plate area right in front of the net. We've seen Ottawa is a team that really embraced that ideology, especially early in the year. They were almost baiting teams to take shots from poor areas in the ice and allowing them to take basically as many as they wanted. So their shot quantity share was poor, but their shot quality share was good because they were waiting for good shots themselves on offense, prioritizing that, and just, baiting teams to take poor shots by kind of collapsing in the defensive zone. And so if the Devils detect, which would be true that the roster is kind of thin talent-wise, you can do a system like that, and it can help keep you afloat when you don't quite have the talent maybe to compete with better teams. Ultimately, though, that's not the system that you want for a team that, wants to go to the playoffs, wants to win a round in the playoffs. And so the long-term solution is something more like what Sheldon Keefe has put in place with the Leafs, where you really prioritize puck possession, where you're always doubling back and putting the puck back into your own zone to retain possession instead of rushing into the neutral zone and turning it over or banging the puck out of your own zone on defense. And then, ultimately trusting your high-end talent to convert chances when you do pursue opportunities in the offensive zone. And I think when you look at somebody like a Hughes or a Hischier, these are players that are going to develop into top-end talents that ultimately can be difference makers on offense. And so eventually it's going to be that kind of a system where you open things up, you double back, you refuse to give up the puck, unless you absolutely have to, and you trust your top end offense to go and win you games. But New Jersey just doesn't have enough of those players yet. So ultimately it's, do you embrace a system that's good for minimizing the damage for now while you wait for more impact players, or do you try to make big changes to the roster quicker than that?
Yeah. It's funny. You said that at the beginning, just kind of that system. And all I thought about was, so we should go back to the trap. But so the trade deadline is coming up in less than 2 weeks, I believe. So the Devils have a lot of big decisions to make. They have Kyle Palmieri, but I want to focus on Sami Vatanen because there's a lot of rumors that kind of had something to do with Ratio's exit. Whether you want to believe those or not is whatever. But they do have a big decision to make. Sami Vatanen has said he likes it here in New Jersey, but he's on the last year of his deal, and he's actually worth something. So, on a team that's already weak in defense, Do you think it's smart to make a move to trade a Sammy Vatanen when he's due for a raise from his already close to $5 million a year salary? Or do you think it's more beneficial to the Devils to keep him and then try to upgrade, the left side?
I think anytime a team is facing a rebuild that they know is going to be longer than a year, which the Devils are definitely staring down, any type of Vatanen that you have, you need to trade and take what you can get in picks and prospects and reload. So, when I dug into Sammy Vatanen's numbers, just sort of looking at what his overall impact is from an underlying point of view, he's behind Andy Green, he's behind Severson, he's behind even Matt Tennyson, Will Butcher. He hasn't been by WAR, by goals above replacement, some of those catch-all statistics that we can kind of sum up a player's contributions with. He hasn't been the Devils' best defenseman. He hasn't even been one of the best couple. And so I think that there's a marketing efficiency in that way where we can look under the hood and say, Vatanen's got value on the market right now. He's a name that keeps showing up in all the trade pieces that you can read right now. But if we look under the hood at what he's contributing, actually on the ice for this team, it's not clear that he's been a high impact player. And so he's not one I would lose sleep over. If you're getting offered anything like pick, prospect, not even necessarily, with a second round pick and a prospect that you can say this player might be on our NHL roster within a year, that wouldn't be too little to take for a guy like him. And I get the sense that a defenseman with some name value will probably wind up bringing in a little bit more than that at the trade deadline too. So, there's some analytics-minded people in the front office right now. I'm sure that they have similar sort of thoughts to that, and I would expect him to be moved. And I think the Devils would be best served by grabbing a pick and grabbing a prospect and whatever they can get. Ultimately, he's not a difference maker on a team that isn't within a year of striking distance for competition anyway.
So I'm not sure how much you are. I mean, I know you work for a couple juniors teams, so maybe you know a little bit about these draft eligible prospects. Do you think the hype this draft is getting? I mean, the Devils are going to end up getting a couple more higher picks. They already have 2 first-round picks. Is this draft that's coming up, is it worth the hype?
Yeah, so anytime I'm talking about, draft and prospect, I've always sort of got to mind myself a little bit too as the places that I work. But things that I can, say for sure, I think this draft class has had buzz around it for a couple of years. This was one that scouts saw coming as a class that went deeper than the top few picks. And that looks like it's probably true that this is a draft where if you're sitting at 10, 12, 15, you're still getting a player that you're really happy with in the first round. And that's not the case year over year. But one thing I would always sort of caution is I think the draft remains a truly imperfect science and a place where people continue to have sort of an inflated sense of what a first round pick is really worth. And so, there's been good work done on the expected value of draft picks and what is the value of pick 20 versus pick 10 versus pick 5 and that sort of thing. And what we found in hockey, which is, fairly similar to other sports too, is those first few picks, that first handful, those are players that are going to make the league. Those are players that are going to be impactful. And as soon as you get outside 10, you're already looking at rolling the dice on players that, aren't locked to make the NHL and play 100 games. And once you get past 20, you're looking at 1 in 5 chance that the player you draft ever makes the NHL and sticks for a season or more. And so really the only way you win with the draft in the long run and the teams that have had success are teams that load up on pick quantity and draft a lot of players. The only system that seems to have worked over the past sort of 20 years or more at the NHL level at least is having a lot of bullets to fire rather than prioritizing pick 17 over pick 13. So, to kind of tie it back to that, and in the end, if you're being offered a first round pick by a contender, a team that's going to go deep and your pick's going to be 28, 29, 30, I would be just as happy and ultimately more happy to take a couple of seconds and just get 2 shots at finding a player rather than getting stuck on that kind of name brand value of a first round pick when really you're at a point where that pick isn't worth more than a couple picks down the road anyway. So I think ultimately this draft class does go a little deeper than usual, but I'd still feel safest having more picks rather than trying to squeeze out a first that's going to wind up ultimately being late in the first.
So, we only have you for a couple more minutes here, Sean. So I do want to kind of get into, the teaching of analytics. Like how can we make these, if somebody writes about this almost on the daily, how could I make this information make sense? And how can the Devils fans out there and the listeners, how can they look at statistics and make their own conclusions?
I think we're sort of in a really lucky phase where there's a lot of access to information right now. And so if you're interested in sort of open-minded to thinking about the game in different ways or going a little deeper than, sort of regular stats, you can go to places like evolvinghockey.com. You can go to places like naturalstattrick.com, moneypuck.com, or even my own website. And there's ways to dig into some of the data that we have that's still publicly available and sort of get to that next level of understanding. Is a team winning because they're good? Are they winning because they're on a run of good luck? Is it both? And whether for you it's the actual numbers and looking at decimal places and that kind of speaks to you, or my approach has always been to create visuals that are interactive. You can kind of communicate a lot of information without a lot of decimal points if you use pictures, which is why I've really embraced that way. But there's lots of sites where you can go and sort of parse through the data yourself. And the nice part is you can always download this stuff. And for me, I got involved by just kind of being interested a little bit, downloading data, and then, learning how to make pictures with it by using Tableau, which is really easy to learn too. So there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of data out there. And it's really just sort of the recommendation I would give is if somebody's interested, just dig into something and play around and see what you can find. And hockey Twitter, despite sometimes eating its own tail when we get into whatever a tizzy about something, you can always reach out to people and get pointed in the right direction to good articles to read or good resources to use. And people are great about pointing others in the right direction too. So getting involved and checking out the data and then asking for help is sort of my usual recommendation for that kind of thing. I think it's a great way to get involved.
So, Sean, I really appreciate you coming on, kind of sharing, what you're seeing and your dive into the numbers. So, just tell us what you got going on. What do you got to plug coming up?
Yeah, so you mentioned off the top, you can come to my website at chartinghockey.ca, and I'm building that out with new stuff every day that you can come see. There's lots of free section. There's a subscriber section for stuff that is a little more detailed, but some people want to dig into maybe too. So that's there. I have a couple pieces coming out via The Athletic over the next couple of days. I've got an NHL-wide piece coming out on shot quality. So keep an eye open for that. And, lots and lots of charts coming as we get into trade deadline season 2.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sean. We look forward to talk to you soon. Maybe we'll contact you in the summer when the Devils make a bunch of win now trades.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. That was Sean Tierney of Charting Hockey giving us the drastic reality that comes with math, Sambo.
Well, I was just sitting back letting you do the interview, Nick. I learned a lot. From that interview.
I'm glad that you learned. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here, you and me, Sam, we try to get an eclectic group of commentators to come on and talk Devils with us because we want to see we want different perspectives. We want to know what happened. we're going to talk to a couple people over the next couple of weeks about the trade deadline and what's going to happen, and then we're gonna have somebody on to talk about what did happen, and we're gonna look into those moves. But for now, I want to know what happened. I don't know about you, Sam, but I'm kind of still shell shocked over what's happened this season. I'm over it. I'm fully aware of what this season is now, and it's probably the worst season in Devils history when you take the hype that was and then the production that you got. So I keep wanting to see where I went wrong, because I did not think this team was this bad. I never thought they were going to be this bad, and they're just bad. So I want to know, what did I see and how can I learn from this? And I want to bring the fans on that journey with me.
One thing I did catch in the interview, as I was behind the scenes doing some tech work, Nick, what he said about Sammy Vatanen. Some of the things that Sean said, it's like, wow, I never even thought about that. I was thinking, Sammy Vatanen was, a top tier right-handed defenseman, but again, analytics, they tell a different story potentially. Yeah. So I thought it was very interesting. I mean, that's what we do here at the State of the Fan Address. We have interesting people. We've had Chico, we have Sean Tierney, we've had all sorts of people that come on. I can't stand the PR spin machine. Oh, go Devils, go Devils. I want to hear the raw details and what these numbers say. I want to hear different opinions, and I thought you did a very good job this week, Nick, booking Sean, because I never heard any of this stuff that he was talking about. And he obviously knows his stuff. He was very calm. He had his thoughts together. You were firing questions to him. And again, I'm still digesting it as we're on live air right now. So I can't wait to listen to the replay, on the podcast that's going to be dropped at midnight on all of our social media outlets and all of our podcast outlets. That's a little plug there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is one I'm kind of excited to re-listen to too, just to kind of see how it came off and how digestible all those points that Sean made are. Because, I do struggle with how I am starting to understand more and more about the advanced statistics. Tyler Kelly has been a proponent for years. So he's been like one of my inspirations. Like, he's one of the writers at Pucks and Pitchforks. He's one of the guys that I'm trying to, work with to kind of get some of those understandings. And like I said, I understand the basic ones, and I can explain those to you and to the readers, because they're pretty, Corsi 4 is the most, it's almost like on base percentage in baseball. Like, anybody can kind of figure that out. It's, you take the amount of chances that happened while that person was on the ice and the amount of chances the other team got, and however over under 50% you are, that's, over 50% means you had more chances than you've allowed chances, and under means, the opposite, obviously. And it doesn't matter how good the chances are, how bad the chance is, it's just total chances. So that one's kind of easily digestible. And then high danger chances is kind of obvious too. It's the best of the best chances, the ones that are most likely to score. How often were those, whether they scored or not, how often did they happen? So that kind of, what that's supposed to do is it's supposed to take whether you have a good or bad goalie out of the statistics for a defenseman or for a forward. So, when Corey Schneider was letting in, pancakes into the net every time, that shouldn't impact PK Subban's high danger chance percentage, but if he pulls, if Blackwood's pulling a 48 save shutout where I think he had 11 high danger chance saves, Sammy Vatanen should not get positives when he's allowing those at the same time. So that's kind of where I'm at, but I'm trying to learn more every day. I'm trying to just kind of look into these things. over the summer, I'll have a little more time to kind of dig deep and kind of see where I went wrong, because I thought this team was going to be good. So kind of dig deep. We'll probably have some pieces on those.
You know what I'm hoping for, Nick? I'm hoping to understand these analytics. And number one, it'll make me look like a genius on the podcast if I understand these analytics, right? But number two, I like to mix that in with a little sports gambling. Maybe those analytics help me make some bets and raise enough money for our $35 million jet that we want to buy. We're stuck at $17 right now. $17 towards our jet. We got to do a little bit better
bring
job.
Out the tip jar. Bring out the tip jar, Sam. We got to get that jet. Keep getting them jets.
Hey, I got a question for you. You're going to that Florida Panthers game March 14th, right? Down in Sunrise? You better. We got the tickets for you.
It looks that way. Me. I try to commit to you, but the way my job works, it's hard to give definite answers. But I plan on being there.
It's all good. I was just putting you on the spot. And also Tampa. I'm waiting for Tampa as well. Tampa, where are we going to be broadcasting from Tampa? I don't even know where we're broadcasting from Sunrise.
Yeah, calm down. Why you gotta like? It'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
It's a month away.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We're going to be down in Florida. We're plugging. This is called plugging. It's reinforcement right now. It's introducing the fact that we're going to be down in Florida, back to back.
Yeah, we just need people to get to Tampa. Maybe we'll just do it outside the arena. Just do it in Thunder Alley. We'll get the Devils fans excited.
We should do that. We should just walk in with our mobile studio, just plop it down, put on the headsets, and go. That's it.
I mean, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're not going to stop us.
We're from Jersey.
Yeah, they're Florida. This is Tampa. This is like, there's like half Canadians here, and nobody's going to say anything. It'll be fine.
That's funny. You know what? We should play the game. I should get Mike Lucci on real soon.
Yeah, go get Mike Lucci. We got an interesting game. And I will tell you this. I will warn you that, if you're not careful, Sam, you're going to get in trouble. So just be careful.
Oh, okay.
No, but I am excited that we got to talk about statistics and analytics and numbers. And I know that that's a big, scary thing for a lot of us. And it was for me for a long time, but I started embracing them because I want to give the Pucks and Pitchfork reader the ultimate experience. And if I'm not talking about analytics, I am not doing that correctly. So I had to adjust. And, I'm glad that you guys came on this journey today, adjusting for those who aren't into the advanced statistics and the analytics. And, I hope you share this with your friends who need to, some of your Devils friends who just keep asking, what went wrong? Because I keep asking that same thing. And I try to get, I think that's why we've been looking more, instead of more Devils focused people, I've been trying to get a couple people from the outside, because I want, obviously I think that this team is amazing. I think that, Blake Coleman is the best player in the world. And I think that, Nico Hischier is going to be a star, and there's nothing you could say about it. And, and that's actually a national narrative as well. But, we love Sammy Votnik because this is New Jersey Devil. And we love a lot of the players that embrace this New Jersey lifestyle. And, a lot of us, there's people out there who really love Kevin Rooney and really love all these players on this team. So we've been trying to get some national voices out there to kind of tell us, some of the things that me and Sam can't see, because we're looking at, we're looking at this team with Cupid goggles. We love this team. We love the red and black, and we love these players. So it's hard to be entirely unbiased when talking about them, because I watch some other hockey, but with as much time as I spend on Devils hockey, I don't have a lot of time to watch the Sharks, actually I'll pick a good team. I don't have a lot of time to watch the Bruins. And I don't have a lot of time to watch Columbus to see what they've done correctly, because Columbus is a team that absolutely I'm just flabbergasted of what they're doing. And I think that's just mostly coaching. John Tortorella is just getting an insane amount out of that team. But, the Penguins have had injury after injury after injury this year, and they're still absolutely dominant. I don't get it, because I thought Matt Murray was having kind of a bad season. And I know, I believe Tristan Jarry is having a decent season himself. Like, I think he's been real good, so that's helped. But when your starting goaltender, who's still getting the majority of the starts, isn't playing out of his mind like he once was, I thought the Penguins would fall off a little bit, and they absolutely haven't. So, Sam, I was talking about, we don't have a ton of time to watch other teams, so we got to get other people from these national broadcasts to kind of look at the Devils from an outside perspective and tell us what happened.
Do you really want to talk to somebody from Flyers country and what they think about the Devils?
I mean, I guess.
Just kidding around.
I mean, I don't know. I lived in Philly for a bit, so I was from Flyers country, and look where I am now.
You're in the big leagues right now. You're on the State of the Fan address.
I am the big leagues.
Well, who's joining the big leagues right now is our guest Mike Lucci from Pucks and Pitchforks. He's a contributor. He's a good friend. But right now he's not my friend because we're in a little competition right now because I got to concentrate on the game that we're about to play. Mike, you're live with Sam and Nick.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys. So this game is very simple. I thought we've been doing a lot of statistics games as of late, and I just kind of wanted to have one where we just had a little fun. So have we ever played the game Never Have I Ever?
I think we have.
Well, we're going to play the game Never Would I Ever. So I'm going to give you guys both a list of scenarios, and you have to pick one Devils player, past or present, who you would never allow to take advantage of you in that said scenario. So pretty simple game. Does it make sense to both of you?
Sure. Let Mike go first, though.
Could you just give me a quick example, if you don't mind, Nick?
Okay, so I said the example is never would I ever allow a slap shot on me when I was in net, and I'd probably pick PK Subban. I had to think of something off the top of my head just because I don't want to give you guys an answer. But but there's other scenarios that are, life, and there's hockey scenarios and there's life examples. So we'll get started and we'll figure the game out as we go, because that's what we do on the Let's Go Devils podcast. So we've been talking numbers today, Mike. We had Sean Tierney of Charting Hockey. So we're going to talk numbers again.
Sure. Never
would you ever let this New Jersey Devils player of past or present let you do your taxes.
I'm going to say Jack Hughes because he's, 18, 19 years old. He's probably never even done taxes before.
That's a fair answer. An 18-year-old doing the taxes. It's to be fair, I don't think any professional hockey player is ever going to have to do their taxes. I think they make enough money that the Devils probably have somebody on standby do it. I don't know. Sam, what do you think? You think, and I'm not asking you the same question, so don't give me your answer. You're going to get a different question. But what do you think about Jack Hughes doing the taxes?
I think I think he won't really do the taxes. I think he'd bring it back to his mom.
Yeah, I think that's how you.
He'll ask Mr. Snyder since he's living at Corey's house.
Yeah, asking an 18-year-old to do your taxes is an easy way to get audited. So it's not a bad answer. So Sam, Sam, let's see. Who never would you ever let this player of past and present coach the Devils?
Kevin Constantine.
Why?
Because I read somewhere that, how many months he was coached? Like 3 months, 2 months?
Yeah.
And I think Martin Brodeur, where he lost the team was he was using tennis balls during practice. That's what the rumor has.
I don't remember that, but that's an interesting tidbit.
Google it.
What do you think, Mike? Was the tennis balls enough to make that the right answer?
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to side with you on this one, Nick.
I mean, I guess they bounce too much on the ice, and that's probably going to lead to somebody getting hurt.
Because he had an obsession about blocking shots. That one of the things he did in practice was having the players block tennis balls or something like that. So
I just feel like bouncy and slippery just don't go well together.
Yeah, it sounds awful. All right, so Mike, your next scenario is: never would you ever want this player to take a penalty shot with your life on the line.
Taylor Hall.
Ooh. Ouch.
Didn't even have to think about that one.
Wow. Sam, he said that one quick. He doesn't trust Taylor Hall with his life. He's picking Miles Wood over Taylor Hall.
I wish Brad Marchand was a Devil because I would
I mean,
wow.
If that was the case,
That's
then the scenario would be, if it was Brad Marchand, the scenario would have to be never would I ever want him to elbow me in the head. But, you know, that's just me.
Yeah, but how did Taylor Hall do in the shootout during his MVP Hart Trophy year? Do you remember?
I think it was fine, but we weren't great at the shootout that year. I remember.
Yeah,
and we lost like
And
5 of 8 or something.
You know, like when I'm thinking of current players, I'm basing them on like how they're doing this year, I guess.
Oh, okay.
It's fair. That's fair. All right, Sam. So your scenario is: never would you ever let this player of past and present drive your car. You got to borrow your car. They got to, take a trip to the Poconos for the weekends. Who are you never letting drive your car?
Bruce Driver.
Is it because
his last name was Driver? No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
the worst one. I would fire you on the spot.
Don't deduct points just because I was kidding around.
Well, what's your real answer?
Cam Jansen. I bet you he gets road rage all the time. And then he has to get out of the car and show off his big muscles. Heavyweight fighter.
Yeah.
Start mouthing off to people.
That's probably, and he's probably, I don't know, something just tells me that Cam Jansen's a reckless driver.
Or Olawa. I was thinking Olawa. I don't know why.
I don't know. I'd rather Olawa over Cam Jansen. Cam Jansen would scare me behind the wheel. What do you think, Mike?
If I'm able to use the same player twice, I'm gonna have to go with Jack Hughes again. He's definitely the least experienced driving, and he is from Florida. And as we all know, Florida drivers are a lot worse than Jersey drivers.
I know that all too well, unfortunately. If any of my listeners live in Florida, drive better.
To tell you the truth, didn't Corey drive Jack to practice and all that?
Oh, Jack! I mean, there's this like new millennial thing where like they don't drive, so I guess that's good. But I mean, how eventually you're gonna have to just learn to drive, right? But anyway, so Mike, your scenario is: never would you ever let this New Jersey Devil of past or present cook your dinner.
Dinner. I'm gonna say Blake Coleman, and here's why. I just have a feeling the dinner would be very pickle themed, and pickles for me have always been more like a side thing. I don't really think it would fill me up enough, and I'd enjoy it enough as like a main course. And I just feel like the options with preparing a pickle, how you're gonna do it are too limited for my liking.
I got a better answer than that.
Oh boy.
Chico
I made that up
Resch.
on the spot.
Chico Resch, because he'd eat all the ingredients before you put it together.
That's not a bad answer. That's not a bad answer. I was gonna say, I mean, things could be worse. We could have Charlie Borges on to cook you some guinea pig, but I don't know if he needed the button, but you know, I guess Sam is using his board
Toys.
to try to get me to choose his side. But Sam, I need your scenario, and never would you ever let this Devils player write you a letter of recommendation.
Bobby Holik.
No. Why is that?
Well, during the 2000 reunion, yeah, you're walking around, and all of a sudden you hear, "Hi, Randy, how are you?" And you hear that voice in the background. And he's very opinionated too, so he may, But one thing about Holik, you know what you're going to get. He's very upfront, so, and very opinionated. So he probably put that in that recommendation. Sam is the worst producer.
Yeah.
Doesn't talk like that.
Yeah, he does not sound like that. But we should try to get him on.
Yeah.
He'd be a really good guest to have on, kind of talk a little Devils hockey with us. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, we'll turn this into an invite. Open invite to Bobby Holik. Except unless we have a guest that week, then you're out of luck. But anyway, so Mike, never would you ever let this Devils player watch your dog for the weekend.
Oh goodness. Watch my dog
or Rover, you're going out of town, this Devil's offering to watch little Rover for you, but you just have to pass.
This is a tough one. Can I let Sam go first? And can I let Sam go first and I'll answer after him? Or do I have to answer right now?
Sam, what's your answer?
Mike Jefferson Danton.
Why? Where do you get these things from? Why does your brain work this way?
The guy was crazy. I wouldn't let him in my house.
All right. I don't know how that might have helped you, Mike. I don't know how that might have helped you, but what do you got?
It didn't buy as much time as I'd hoped. But I'm gonna go with, and here's my prediction. Here's my pick that I'm going to tell you right now. 1, 2, 3. Ilya Kovalchuk.
Why? Because he would just go to Russia and not feed your dog?
Yeah, part of that, and the fact that he retired, it's a testament to his ability to commit, and someone who isn't committed, I wouldn't trust them with the tall task of taking care of my fluffy beloved friend.
Where's the meat?
He'd probably sell your dog to a Chinese food place. I'm sorry, Chinese food places are. That was mean. I'm the one who's gonna get in trouble here. I don't know how we got there, but Sam, this is your last solo question before we go to the joint question.
Whoa!
Never would you ever let this Devil of past or present give you sage advice that you had to take.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Never would you ever let this devil of past or present give you sage advice that you were forced to take or accept. You had to do what they said.
I'm going to do some stall tactics like Mike. Let me think about it first. Vladimir Malikov.
Do you know any Devils that are on the team now, Sam?
Oh, you said past and present.
I know. You hit that past one real hard today.
Well, Malikov, he gets injured and then he goes off skiing. And then Lou's like, "No, you're done."
All right. So here's where you got.
Sorry.
Here's where you might get in trouble. So just keep that in mind before you answer. But this is a question for both of you. So Mike, you can go first. Never would you ever allow this devil of past and present to take your sister out for a nice steak dinner.
I'm probably Martin Brodeur. And my reason why circles back to his little incident with his wife Melanie and her sister. So I don't know if
It's not her sister. It's brother's ex-fiance.
However you want to word it, that relationship is why it makes me more hesitant.
All right, Sam. Who are you going with?
Do I have to pick a current devil since I've been going with past devils the entire time?
Well, you might as well. I mean, like, why are you setting your sister up with an old guy?
Oh yeah, that's true. Current devil. This is a hard question. Because I like all the current devils right now.
I mean, I like a lot of people, but a lot of people, I'm not going to set them up with my sister.
Does Mikey McLeod?
Sure.
Mikey McLeod.
Why?
Because it'll be a long distance relationship because my sister won't be seeing him because he'll be in Binghamton. No.
A better answer would have been, if you're going to go that route, I don't want him to date Michael McLeod because he's never going to be making that NHL money. But either way. All right, so I got to pick a winner. I'm gonna go with. I really like the Ilya Kovalchuk answer, so I'm gonna go with Mike Lucci. Mike Lucci, you are the winner on the one that you stalled for like 15 minutes on, but you won.
I'm throwing the flag. I want a replay challenge on that one. He took too long.
I think that makes me 1-1 against Sam all time.
There we go. We're even up. Sam, I think you're even with just about everybody at this point. You go on streak. I think this is 3 in a row that you've lost.
It's terrible. Terrible.
You're losing like Binghamton again. You go on the same streaks as Binghamton. So we gotta figure you out. We gotta figure Binghamton out. Corey Schneider allowed 1 goal tonight and Binghamton lost. What the heck?
Yeah, and you know who gave up? Turned over the puck? Mikey McLeod.
Ouch. Is that what happened? I didn't see it.
I think it was like 18. I forgot how many seconds in.
Like 13 seconds into the game.
Yeah. Come on, Mikey McLeod. We're rooting for you.
You got to do better. Got to do better. All right. Well, Mike, you won. Congratulations. You got a couple pieces out. You want to plug?
Sorry?
I see you got a couple articles up on pucksandpitchforks.com. You want to plug one of them? I know you put one out today.
Yeah, that one was just about five prospects within the organization now, whether they're currently on the team now, any guys in the AHL, any up and comers from CHL, NCAA that I think will wind up benefiting the most with when if the Devils go into the deadline as sellers, which they probably will. You got to figure they're gonna be, if they go in that mode, they're probably gonna be getting looking to trade guys like their upcoming UFAs, Andy Green, Sammy Vatanen, Wayne Simmons. These are all guys on the roster that are regulars in the lineup. Elliot Friedman keeps saying, said a couple of times, the Devils are also looking to make hockey trades. If they do that, that could even broaden their trade candidates to other regulars in the lineup like Miles Wood, Zaka, Mirko Mahler, Damon Severson, Will Butcher. That could open as many as 4 or 5 roster spots. So my figuring just was, looking at a couple of guys, I named 5 different prospects, whether in the NCAA, CHL, AHL right now, are currently on the team that I think could wind up benefiting from those roster spots being vacated. And that's pretty much the just of it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely pucksandpitchforks.com. Go read Mike Lucci's stuff. If you want to read just Mike Lucci's stuff, you can hit the About page on pucksandpitchforks.com. Go to his page. You can see all the stuff he's been writing for. You've been with us for a while, Mike. So you got a lot of pieces in the bank. But yeah, we'll talk to you soon. All right, Mike.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks again for having me on.
Thanks, Mike. That is Mike Lucci, Pucks and Pitchforks contributor. Now even up with the Woo. I don't know how he won. Sometimes I wonder if these games are rigged.
I mean, that one probably was.
Yeah. It's okay. I like Mike.
Yeah, Sam. I mean, it was an interesting week for the Devils. It's been, the past 3 weeks have just been, we look really good for 2 games, and then we look like garbage for 2 games, and, it's stressful. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Well, it's the inconsistency that this has been the recurring theme this season. Again, I just want these young players to get experience. I've kind of written them off that beginning of April will be the end of the season again, as the team, as the New Jersey Devils, the whole organization goes back to the drawing board. I know they had a good time at the Sweep the Deck. Saw some of the pictures there. Charitable cause. Maybe one day, Nick, that we'll make a big bet. We'll win a lot of money, and we'll take our private jet to the Sweep Deck, pay $50,000 for the privilege of sitting next to the Devils owners, Joshua Harris and David Blitzer. That would be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Maybe we could park our jet next to theirs.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you heard that somebody in Edison, New Jersey won the Mega Millions, $202 million. And my wife was like, "You've been in Edison recently a lot. Did you buy a lottery ticket?" And I texted her back. It's like, "Yes, I did. I did not win. Otherwise, I would have told you to come home immediately."
Yeah. That's something that we would discuss. Either that or you. If there's 2 reasons why you didn't tell your wife you won the lottery. One is because you didn't win the lottery. The other one is a much more nefarious reason why you don't tell your wife you won the lottery. So either way,
you know what? If I didn't tell my wife that I won the lottery, I'd be doing this podcast from Mexico. It'd be like Los Diablos. Let's
Mucho
go,
dinero.
Diablos. Mucho dinero. El Plano. I don't even know. I forgot my Spanish.
Yo necesito las cervezas pronto.
Yeah, necesito dinero.
Ill Jets.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I think we should. I think it's time to close the podcast. Don't you think, Nick?
Yeah,
was a
we're
good
about to get
podcast.
ourselves in trouble. But it was a good podcast. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah, it was a good
numbers,
podcast.
baby.
Yeah. Well, Scotty from the Let's Go to All's podcast is flying in from LA this Saturday. He's going to be at PJ Ryan's Sunday, 6 p.m. start. He'll be there at PJ Ryan's probably in the mid-afternoon. I have a scheduling conflict. I will try to get there, but at the very least, I will produce the podcast live at PJ Ryan's at 35 Edison Place remotely, and I'll see all the fun. Beer Baron is going to make an appearance as well. We're going to try to put it at the front of the bar. Just go in, turn to the left, first floor. You'll see them there. Nick, any final words before we take off?
No, just make sure you go to pucksandpitchforks.com. We got trade pieces going up every day. They're starting tomorrow. Trade deadline, baby.
Awesome. Trade deadline is that time of year. Well, thank you for joining us. Till next time, Devils fans. Let's go Devils!